Hey all, welcome back to one more video. So first of all, sorry for all of you for not uploading the sessions recently. Due to my vacation, I can't upload the sessions regularly. But from today onwards, I'll be uploading the sessions regularly, right? So in today's session, we are going to talk about very important concept, and I also have received many questions on this particular concept. Okay, so without further ado, let us start our session today. And before going into the session, if you are new to my channel, consider subscribing my channel and hit on the notification bell. Also follow me on all my social media handles. Also, many of you are asking me about the PPTs of the sessions that I'm uploading. Yes, I'll be uploading the PPTs in my Telegram channel. The link is in my particular YouTube channel. You can go there and check it out. And also, many of you are pinging me in the LinkedIn and all, saying that your channel is in Tamil. No, that is VLSI for you channel, but mine is VLSI to you channel. If you come under any VLSI aspirants who are getting confused in this, you can just clear them out for this. And also, I'm very thankful to all my subscribers who are subscribing my channel and following me, and also for all the students who are asking me doubts in my LinkedIn as well as on my Telegram channel also, right? So let us not further waste any more time. So getting into the session today, firstly, before getting into the session, I'll be going to ask you one question, right? So my question for today is, when a child class handle is assigned to the base class, since you already know about the inheritance, you know what is base class and what is extended class or child class. So if you didn't see what is inheritance, I have already uploaded that session. I link that in the description box. You can go there and check it out. And inheritance is very important topic in this term Verilog, so don't miss it out. So since you already know about inheritance and system Verilog, you'll know about this child class and base class. So what I am asking is, I am assigning my base class to the child class. That means I am taking two classes like CC as my child class and BC as my base class. So when I am extending my child class to the base class, then what happens? Whatever that is there in my base class is overridden by my child class methods or properties. Is it or not? You already know about it. So here, that is fine, that everyone knows, like it can be overridden by base class methods. But what is my question here is, even though the base class methods are overridden, that means my base class method may have some values like some for example, it can have values like data and id. Okay, so these values are some 5 and 1 in my base class, but my child class, by assigning everything that is there in my child class to base class, so they may be overridden to some 4 and 3. Okay, so they can be overridden, but what is my point here is, even though they are overridden, on calling the method using the base class handle, that means when you are calling the method using base class handle like bc.display, okay, my method for example, consider it as display. So when you are calling it by using bc.display, whatever that is there in my base class method, whatever method that is there in my base class is only executed. Is it or not? So when you are calling it cc.display, then what happens? Whatever that is there in my child class display, that only will be executed, right? So here my question is, how to execute the base class display by using the child class handle. Did you get my point? Yes. So if you are using child class display, you will only get executed the child class method. But my question here is, I want my child class to activate to execute the base class methods. So is it possible? If possible, how could you do it? If you already know about this, you can just ping me the answer in the comment box. And if you don't know about this answer, try to pause this video and try to at least think about it, right? So in this session I am going to answer this question for you. So check on to the full length video to know clearly about my answer for this particular question. Hope you are clear about this question. If you are not clear about this, I have clearly mentioned in this question. You can pause this video and again read this particular question. And if you are still having any doubts on this question or on this session, you can ping me in any of my social media handles, right? So, yes, the answer is yes, you can do it. You can do it by using the virtual keyword. So how are we going to use this virtual keyword in System Verilog? Yes, virtual is very important concept in System Verilog. Why? Because we are having tons of topics by using this virtual keyword. Like you will be having virtual methods, virtual tasks, virtual classes, virtual interfaces. So everything related to this virtual. Yes, so many of you are getting confused, like why do we use this virtual functions, why do we need this virtual task, what is the use of actually the virtual keyword, what is the difference between virtual interface and virtual class. So all these things, okay, so we'll be discussing them one by one, right? So firstly, virtual is nothing but which is not real, is it or not? So basically, virtuality is nothing but which can't be real, but it can be seen as real. Similarly, you can just keep this definition in mind, and keeping this particular definition in mind when you listen to this particular thing, it will be easy for you. Okay, so just remember that anything like any function, any task, any class, when you are mentioning it with a virtual keyword, then that is called as virtual class or virtual function or virtual task, right? So anything why when you are using a virtual keyword, then that is a virtual function, that is a virtual task, then what is a virtual class. Okay, so what is the use of this virtual keyword? So just before I have asked you a question like, can we access the base class methods by using the child class handle? Yes, we can do it. So we will see how are we going to do it. Just like in the before I gave you example, so here I am taking two classes. One is my base class with handle BC, extended class with handle EC. Okay, so I am giving everything that is there in my extended class to my base class. So now what happens when I am giving it as bc.display? Okay, when I am calling bc.display, so for example, you all already know that every class will be having some methods and properties. So my base class is having a method named display. Okay, similarly my extended class is also having a method named display. You can do that. You can have with same name, you can write both methods in both child class as well as parent class. It is not wrong. So now what happens, my child class is also having display method, my base class is also having display method. But since I am assigning everything that is there in my extended class to base class, so my base class display method can be overridden. Okay, that means the values can be overridden within this base class. But even though the values are overridden, but when I am calling it with bc.display, whatever that is there in my base class will only be displayed. Okay, when I am calling it with ec.display, then whatever that is there in my child class display, that only will be getting displayed. Okay, got my point? But what is my question previously? When I am calling ec.display also, this particular display from base class only should be executed. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible by writing a virtual function, sorry, by writing the virtual keyword before the display function within the base class. Got my point? Yes, this is how the virtual keyword is used. Okay, but while you are using a virtual keyword, there is one condition that you should consider. I'll say that condition in the in the coming session. Firstly, let me give you a small example for you clearly so that it will be easily understood for you. Okay, first, okay, let me give you an example here so that we'll be after listening it here, we will be executing that on the EDA playground so that it will be much more clear for you. Okay, so this is my without virtual function. You just remember that. If you see here, I didn't use any virtual functions. This is the basic inheritance program. Okay, so this is my parent class with two properties, data and id, and one display function, like one method. We can call it as function void display. So within my display, what I am writing, base, value of data is something, and value of id is something, data and id. Okay, and now what I am doing, I am inheriting the child class extends, that means inheritance property. So I am extending everything that is there in my parent class to my child class, right? And then again I am writing the same display function here. Okay, and then within display function I am writing something with name as, this is base and this is child one. Okay, and then end function and class. Now within the module, what I am taking, I am taking the handles for my parent class as well as my child class. Okay, and what I have created the new object, sorry, I have created the object for my ctr, which is new. Okay, now after creating the object for my child class, I am assigning everything that is there in my CTR to PTR. That means nothing but whatever that is there in my child class, I am giving everything to parent class. Now what happens? Even though my parent class is having some 4 or 5 here, like even though I am assigning it as 4 or 5 here values, but since I am overriding it with 5 and 1, so everything is overridden here. Okay, like 5 and 1 are the actual values that are present at present. Like at present they are having data as 1, data as 5, sorry, and id as 1. Now if you see here, I am calling this particular thing with my ptr, that means this is my parent class handle. So what happens when I am calling the function with parent class handle, then this function, this particular function will only be displayed, this function won't be displayed. Did you get my point? Yes, but now what I want is, even though I am calling it with ptr.display or ctr.display also, the same thing should be, this same thing should be executed, but not this thing. Okay, got my point? Yes, that is my question. What I am doing here, so in order to do this, I'll be using the virtual keyword here. Okay, let me give you a small example here for you so that it will be easily understood for you. Right, right. So have you seen here the same example here that we are discussing it? Like if you see here, my the same example that we have seen this. Okay, now when I run this, if you see here, when I run this here, I am giving ptr dot display, that means I am giving ptr dot display. So whatever that is there in my parent class, that will be displayed. So what is there in my parent class? Base equal to value of data and id. Now if I run this particular thing, how the output will be shown? Like see here, what is the output? Base is, have you seen this? Base is value of data is 5. That means where is the base here? Base method is this. Okay, now for the same thing, if I'm using ctr dot display instead of ptr dot display, then what happens? Whatever that is there in child class, so if you see here, child class is, even though the values are same, the display is from child class. Here if you see child. Okay, so when I am giving it with ctr dot display, it is showing for ctr dot display. When I am giving the b dot display, like parent dot display, whatever that is there in parent is being displayed. Now what I am telling is, if I am using the virtual keyword here, virtual function void display, now what happens? Okay, if ctr means no, nothing will be changed because child. But even though I am giving it with ptr, even though if I give it with ptr also, the output will be child equal to, see, have you seen this? Whatever that is there in child class method, that is displayed even though I am pointing it with parent class handle. Have you seen this? Why? Because I have made the methods within the parent class as virtual in nature. So since they are virtual in nature, so they can't be displayed. Whatever that is there in child class method, that only will be displayed. Got my point? This is how the virtual function works here. Okay, and I told you there is one important condition when you are using this virtual keyword before this methods. Okay, the condition is that when you are using the particular, okay, let me give you an example here. Okay, if you see here, have you seen the example here? Yes, here everything is same here, but within the display I am taking arguments. Okay, so here I am taking two arguments, data and ID. Okay, and then I have displayed for BC, but in the child class I have taken only one argument. Okay, the condition that I told you before is that when you are using with same name, okay, when you are using the parent, when you are using the method with same name in both parent class and child class also, then when you are using the virtual keyword in order to in order to declare, like in order to execute the base class function by using the child class handle, so you have to keep one thing in mind. What is that means? Whatever arguments, how many number of arguments or whatever arguments that you are using in the parent class, the same arguments in the same way you should be using in the child class also. If you are not using it, then what happens? Even so, if you see here, I am using the ptr display. Okay, even though I am using the virtual function. Okay, if I run this particular thing, how the output will be executed, if you see here, it will be throwing you error. See, one error. So what is the error? Virtual method declaration from say class. Invalid virtual method override. Method is not identical with method from base class. Why it is not identical? Because here I have used two different arguments, data and ID, and I am assigning the, so when I am assigning CTR to PTR, so whatever that is there in CTR will go to PTR. So if you see my child class properties, like if you see my child class display here, it is having only one argument, data. So there is no ID, is it or not? So there is mismatch in the arguments. So when there is any mismatch in such arguments, it will throw you error. So what you should do for this, you will be, when you do this, yes, and then run this particular thing. Okay, now what happens? Whatever that is there in child, that will be executed. See, child value of data is 5. Got my point? Right? So this is how the output will be executed in child class as well as parent class. Hope it may bring you some clarity on what is the virtual method and virtual thing and everything. Okay, in the next class we are going to see about abstraction topic in system verilog, which is again linked with this virtual keyword, because in abstraction we will be, until now we have seen how we will be making methods within the base class and parent class as virtual in nature. But in the next class, in the abstraction topic, we are going to make the abstract classes, nothing but we will be creating the virtual classes. Until now we have created the virtual methods, but in the abstraction topic we will be creating abstraction classes, which are nothing but virtual classes. That means we'll be putting the virtual keyword in front of class rather than in front of methods. Okay, so stay tuned for that. Also, if you like my explanation, please give me a like, and if you are still having any doubts about this virtual, you can ping me in any of my social media handles. I will definitely answer your questions. Hope it may bring you some clarity on what is virtual method and task. Right, if you are still not justified about my explanation, please comment me about. If you have any having any doubts, I'll again make a video on this particular thing. That is all for today. Thank you all.